Today on Liquid Plays, we're going to discuss video games and this Facebook Live killer. First and foremost, I'm not going to discuss this guy's name because whenever we mention these type of people's names, all it does is give other people who seek this type of glory something to work towards. In fact, with these shootings, no one really remembers the victims' names. They always remember the killer's names, and so I'm not going to mention this guy's name. But I do want to talk about two things right now, and the first thing is what CNN said while this whole Facebook Live killer deal was going on. Again, I'm not going to talk about the CNN correspondent's name. It's out there. It's not my job to bash him. But I do want to talk about the entire culture around video games and shootings. In this roundtable discussion, the CNN correspondent said that the video posted by the shooter was looking like a video game. He goes on to talk about it. He says, if you think about video games, they are first-person shooters. People in a game, they have a controller, the gun is in front of them, and they're firing. That is how a lot of young people experience weapons. They experience guns, and that's video games. Unfortunately, a video like this, it has the same perspective, and yet it is so real. The blood is so real. And I've seen people online comparing it to a video game, people online commenting saying this looks like a game. Very disturbing. End quote of said CNN correspondent. My problem with this whole thing is whenever there is a shooting, whenever there's a mass shooting, the media almost always instantly starts to blame video games. Now, I've been playing all types of video games my entire life, and I've been playing shooter video games for a very large majority of that. Playing a first-person shooter like Call of Duty or Battlefield or anything like that does not make me a more violent person. What makes me a more violent person is playing with lag or playing with cheaters or playing with campers. What makes me a more violent person is whenever people compare an insane, crazy amount of violence shooting in real life on video games. And that's something I really want to dig deeper into because when I was in 8th grade growing up, Pokemon was a huge deal. Okay, 8th grade, everybody had Pokemon cards, and I believe that Pokemon Red and Blue had just came out for the Game Boy Pocket Color dealy thing that we had there. And I got it for Christmas, and I loved some Pokemon. And then a news report came out. All right, talking about how Pokemon was the devil, Pokemon was satanic, and how some Pokemon cards were the reason why two boys got into a knife fight. And immediately my parents were in uproar, especially my mom. She said, you're not playing Pokemon cards anymore, you're not playing your Pokemon game anymore, and that made me crazy mad. No, I did not grab a knife and stab my mom. No, I did not grab a gun and shoot my mom, but I was very, very upset. The two boys that got into the knife fight and stabbed, one kid stabbed the other over the Pokemon cards, wasn't because Pokemon cards had anything to do with knife fighting. It was because the kids were just inherently angry and didn't know how to resolve their conflicts in the right way. And that's where I would go with this Facebook Live killer. I don't think that video games is what caused him to go off on this killing spree. In fact, the video footage shows him seeming to be quite logical and understanding of his actions. He just looked like a guy who got upset, had a gun, and started shooting people because he could. At least that's how he came across in his Facebook Live videos. But when you blame mass shootings and violent killings and deaths on video games, what you're really doing is you're ostracizing what used to be a small community of gamers who play the games and love things like Call of Duty. You're ostracizing them and making them to be more awkward and making them to be more weird. And that's been the norm in America for so many years. And we're finally getting to this place where parents are okay with their kids playing some video games. I did meet a couple parents the other day that didn't want their kids playing Call of Duty or even playing Pokemon or even playing Pokemon Go. What was the other game? It wasn't a game. The kids had never watched an episode of Power Rangers. And there's this idea of, yes, sheltering your kids from things that scare you. There's an idea of sheltering and protecting your kids from things that might have an oppressive or even scary influence on your kids. But when you remove your kids so far from the world and so far from video games that aren't violent, I'm sorry, yes, if you're playing some video game that looks like a scene from CSI Miami, that's pretty violent. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the majority of gamers playing Call of Duty and media bashing on them for doing such things. And so then you get some kid who's been playing Call of Duty his entire life and he's in high school and this Facebook Live killer thing happens and people on CNN start bashing video games. And I know the correspondent from CNN, he probably wasn't going full on attacking video games, but you've got to be careful with your words and what you say. In fact, in every single video that I record, I make sure that I'm not saying things that might put parents against students, might not put the kids versus the parents, and might not put husband versus wife, because I do believe that your words have a big effect on people, whether you're positive and whether you're negative. And me, myself, I am normally a negative person, so I'm always trying to be more positive in my things. But with this Facebook Live killer deal, the problem is you got some kid who comes to school who likes video games, and then there's this discussion because CNN correspondent said some stuff about video games, and maybe you're in class and kids are mocking him because he really enjoys playing video games. He enjoys playing Call of Duty just as much as some kid likes to draw. And now people are going to mock and make fun of this kid who just enjoys to play a video game, enjoys leveling up in it and getting more points and getting more streaks and everything. And I'm being careful with my words here because of this video and not getting flagged and banned on YouTube. But you have kids start mocking him and start bringing it up, and maybe even just causing a little bit of stress in his life because they want to discuss this whole thing. And the kid just wants to play video games. He just wants to get in there and get his 30 kills, his 75 kills a game. And yeah, I said kills. That's what you call it, okay? He's getting points, okay? When you shoot somebody in one of these video games, they fall down, they respawn, they get back up. It is not teaching some kid that that's how real life happens. It's not creating some fantasy. You've got to introduce your kids to some types of fantasy like this, but also explain to them that real guns do really kill people. I don't really believe that there's an epidemic of young kids going around shooting each other with guns because they think that they will get right back up. I don't think that's the issue whatsoever, especially when you are around the ages of 7 and older. Your kids should know better, and the reason that they don't know better is because you have not had these conversations with them or showed them what a real gun is or taken them to a shooting range. It is your job as a parent to prepare them for the real world and not allow a video game to do that, and not allow CNN to scare them from ever playing video games or ever owning a gun. I personally think that guns are a very healthy thing to own, because once somebody breaks into your house, most of the time they're going to have a gun, and if you don't have a gun to defend yourself, you're going to be waiting a long time, which will seem like an eternity for the cops to show up to save your butt. I am just done with the media responding to violent shootings like this, mass shootings like this, and immediately calling for blaming it on video games or talking about gun bans and how that's going to make things easier. Because if we don't have any guns in America, the people who obey the law won't have guns, but the criminals that don't already obey the law, they won't have guns either. They won't break into people's houses and steal their guns, or break into gun stores and steal guns, or find guns somehow, or make their own guns, because you can do that. It's the internet. It's 2017. You can get online and figure that out. I don't know, guys. I'm sorry for rambling and stuff. I just can't stand it whenever people do this and they blame mass shootings like this Facebook Live shooter on video games and stuff like that. If you guys have stuck with me this far, I wanted to thank you guys. I have 400 subscribers now, and I will be starting a contest for a giveaway to thank every single one of you 400 subscribers. Details will be coming up in a later video. I do want you guys, if you haven't checked me out, hook up with me on the Facebooks. Get on their tweeter device and tweet me. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, just like on YouTube at Liquid Plays. In the bottom of this video, there is a link to a couple of my sponsors. I encourage you guys to check them out. Check out Boss Boxes and Soundstripe this week, and use my code Liquid Plays to get 10% off of your bossbox.store order, or 20% off of your Soundstripe order. But no matter what you do, don't follow your dreams. You know what I'm gonna say? Follow my YouTube.